Hello, everyone. Let me join as a panelist. There we go. Okay. There we go. Kelly back in. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Muy buenas noches. Good evening. I will give instructions about interpretation for this evening. Voy a dar instrucciones sobre la interpretación para hoy noche. And welcome to the Boulder Board of County Commissioners Virtual Town Hall. Muy bienvenido al teleforo virtual de la mesa directiva de los comisionados del condado de Boulder. We will ask that you select your preferred language by clicking on the interpretation globe icon below on your screen to the right-hand side. Vamos a pedir que seleccione su idioma de preferencia haciendo clic en el icono de globo de interpretación. The town hall will begin momentarily. El teleforo virtual comienza dentro de poco. Gracias.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our town hall this evening on the subject of the library district. I'm going to start us off with our land acknowledgement. Boulder County acknowledges that its boundaries include land within the territories of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute peoples. The commissioners acknowledge the institution we represent was founded upon the exclusion and attempted erasure of indigenous peoples and cultures. We acknowledge the American Indian community in Boulder County today, the elders past and present, and future generations.
Thank you for joining us this evening. We are here tonight because as the Boulder County Board of Commissioners, we would like to hear from residents in unincorporated Boulder County regarding the proposed library district. We will start with a brief presentation from the Boulder County Attorney's Office about the library district proposal and how we, the Boulder County Board of Commissioners, will play a role in representing our community members in unincorporated Boulder County during this process. Then we will be opening it up to hear directly from you. Each person who is registered to speak will be given 3 minutes to provide public comment on the topic of the proposed library district only. We are going to try and get to as many speakers who pre-registered to provide comment before our cutoff time this evening of 6:50 p.m. We are looking forward to hearing what you have to say, and we'll respond to public comment once all of the speakers have had an opportunity to participate. Please note that there are other ways to provide comment and input. We will welcome written comments sent to the email address, which is commissioners@bouldercounty.org. And it would be helpful and appreciated to get that written input by April 1st. Also, the commissioners will participate in a joint public meeting and invitation with Boulder City Council on April 5th at 7 p.m. for purposes of hearing the proposal from staff and taking public comment. That will be a hybrid public hearing. We will put the link to the City of Boulder's public meetings in the chat so that you can tune in to listen and sign up to speak at that separate hearing. We will turn it over now to Kate Burke from the Boulder County Attorney's Office for an explanation of the Library District proposal. And we appreciate you joining us this evening. Kate?
Thank you, Commissioner Loachman. Good morning. Good evening, everybody. I will run through just very quickly some FAQs about this library district proposal to help guide comments and thoughts. These links that are showing right now are links where you can find all the information that follows in one place or another, as well as links to attend the public meetings that Commissioner Loachman was just mentioning and other important information. Okay, so to start off with, what is a library district? Very simply, it is a service providing taxing district. It is a separate governmental entity that is formed by local governments where the district resides. And it is formed under its own law. The library law is something separate from other districts. And it's found, if anyone's interested, at section 2490-101 of the Colorado statutes. So where did this proposal come from? There's a group of volunteer proponents. There's a website at boulderlibrarychampions.org that describes who those folks are and how they've done their advocacy so far. And the City of Boulder then formed a library district advisory committee to do some further research and make recommendations. And you can find out some more about that at boulderlibrary.org on our library district page. The City Council has discussed this issue and is carrying forward the process. Because the proposed district includes parts of unincorporated Boulder County, the commissioners also do play a role, which is why we're here tonight. This is a picture of the proposed district boundaries. Of course, it's too small to make much of, but if you go to the website there, boulderlibrary.org, library-district, this map is interactive. You can search, for example, by your own address. You can zoom in. You can take all kinds of care to understand it better than I can show on this slide. One important thing to note is that the library law, unlike, for example, other special districts that you may know of, the library law does not allow these district boundaries to change. You cannot add properties and you cannot remove them once the district is established. So that's just something to keep in mind. So the proposed mill levy that goes with this proposed district, the Library District Advisory Committee is recommending a mill levy to fund the district at a rate of up to 3.8 mills. That would yield, according to Bob Yates, who's a city councilor, that would yield or result in a tax burden of approximately $272 per year on a $1 million home. So hopefully you can do the math from that to get a sense of what your own burden might be. And it would, depending of course on what the final district boundaries are, but it would yield approximately $19.5 million in revenue for the library district. And some of the services, in addition to operating the existing libraries today, this list are expanded or kind of replacement services that the proponents expect would be provided by the library district with the additional funding coming in from the mill levy. So facility maintenance backlog at current facilities, from restoring and expanding library hours back to pre-pandemic levels, funding of a North Boulder library, opening the Gun Barrel branch, opening a Niwot branch, reopening the Carnegie Library for local history, reopen the Canyon Theater, rehire staff for the Boulder Reads program, rehire staff for Building 61 Makerspace, and early literacy outreach programs for Latinx youth. So these are just some of the examples of what the library district would be able to provide that the current library is not able to do. So how does this library district get formed? We are in the first step right now, the step to establish the district as a legal entity. And there's two ways to do that. One way is that a petition can be signed and submitted. It only needs to be signed by 100 electors. And then if that is done and the signatures are done properly and it is submitted properly, that would be followed by an election. The other way to form the district, which is what the city council and the advisory committee are recommending right now, is by government resolution. And again, because the proposed district is in both the city and the county, both of those governments would adopt resolutions to form a district. The next step after that would be to appoint district trustees, and both city council and the county commissioners would be involved in appointing that set of trustees. Once they are established, then an intergovernmental agreement is worked out and signed, and that's an agreement between the new district, the city, and the county. And the IGA would define all the rights of each entity and the obligations and what the procedures would be going forward with the district. Then would come the district members' opportunity to vote on funding. So all of these steps ahead, these first three major steps would establish the district. Now there's a legal entity, but then the district members get to vote whether to fund it or not at the proposed rate. And right now, if the district were to be formed this spring, then that election would happen this coming November. And then if the district is funded by the voters, then it begins operations and the mill levy is assessed and everything moves forward. If the district is not funded by the voters, it will dissolve. And the IGA may allow for more than one election effort. So there's been discussion about allowing 2 or 3 rounds of elections before the district dissolves to see if voters are in favor. So Commissioner Locherman just went over this, but just again, opportunities for public involvement are today's town hall, of course. You can email the commissioners at commissioners@bouldercounty.org. And then there's also a form that you can submit with your comments at this address. And you can find that link on the Boulder County site. And then April 5th, there's the joint hearing. There will be a Zoom link. This is the city website where the Zoom link can be found and the directions for joining the meeting. And then after the public comment on April 5th, the commissioners will then continue their own public meeting until April 7th, at which time they'll come back to deliberate amongst themselves and take action on the resolution. And I believe that's the last of my slides.
Kate, thank you so much for joining us this evening and giving us the overview of this proposal that's being brought forward to us from the City of Boulder and that the Boulder Library District folks. So we are going to open this town hall for a public comment period. And as we stated before, there's 3 minutes for each speaker, and just a friendly reminder to state your name and your address for the record. And we're going to try and get through as many folks as we can this evening. And we are hoping to hear from unincorporated Boulder County residents on this particular proposal. And Kate did a great job of outlining some other options if you know other folks who aren't able to be in this conversation this evening, how they can participate and give their input. So thank you for sharing that out and letting others know about this particular library district. So the public comment for our sign up, the first person is Mihoshita. And again, if you can just state your name and your address for speakers, we have a 3-minute timer. So we should hear the timer that's going to go off and say time. And that's how we'll all be able to know when time's up. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Sorry, should I start or?
Yep. Thank
Okay.
you.
Hi, my name is Miho Shida and I live in Gun Barrel. So I was shocked to learn that accounting for inflation, the Boulder Public Library is operating on 2007 funding levels. This has resulted in a 16% reduction of staff and reduced library hours for the public. Lack of staff has also paused or canceled many of the library's popular outreach programs. There is also a $1 million building maintenance backlog, lack of funding for staff for the future Nobo branch, and no money for a long-promised Gun Barrel branch. Despite this, the number of cardholders has increased 55% since 2006. Thanks to the efforts of the library director, staff, commission, and hundreds of volunteers, as well as the outsized financial support of the Library Foundation, these deficits have been smoothed over for the public for now. However, it's clear that if we are to maintain and provide adequate library services to match the population growth in Boulder County, we need to secure better funding. The creation of a library district is the best way to do this. Fort Collins, Colorado Springs, Lyons, and Nederland are just some of the 56 cities across Colorado that fund their libraries through a district tax. Unlike the Boulder Public Libraries that were closed for 2 months during the pandemic and have still not fully opened, many district-funded libraries stayed open during the pandemic.
Miho,
What-
excuse me.
Yes.
And just a reminder for all speakers, we do have ASL and Spanish language interpreters. So I just got a message to ask us to slow down. Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry. Okay. The library helps every single demographic in Boulder. Libraries have always been a place where people of limited resources and contacts can improve their lives through self-education and interaction with the greater community. The library also saves me hundreds of dollars in books and magazines my family doesn't have to buy, meeting space I can use for free, and free art exhibits and events that I attend. I can't think of any other institution in Boulder that provides such enormous community-wide benefit. As a Gun Barrel homeowner, I will gladly pay the library district tax. For the cost of eating out twice with my family of 4, roughly $200, I think an investment in the library will pay me back several-fold, not only in tangible items, but in a better educated and engaged community. I want Boulder to join the other 56 Colorado communities that have prioritized the well-being of their citizens by forming a library district. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 2 on the list is Margaret Clinton.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name's Margaret Clinton. I live at 6174 Willow Lane in unincorporated Gun Barrel. I'm a single mom, and I just told you where I live. Libraries have played an important role in my parenting for both my child and I. The world and its people and communities are better because of libraries. Solidifying Boulder's libraries with the library district is good for all of us, even if we never visit or use the services of the library. Connected and informed communities and individuals are better able to engage in democracy and construct a better world. My child and I are excited about the plans for a branch down the street from us, and we enjoyed walking to the Nobo branch when we lived there before the pandemic. Aside from fiction and nonfiction books, we have particularly appreciated access to Consumer Reports, ebooks, the You Fix It Clinic, and the Teen Room. We are even more appreciative of the resources it offers families who have less resources at home than we do. I'm a homeowner and I'm happy to contribute a couple $100s a year for this purpose. So I hope that we are able to create a library district.
Thank you. Number 3 on the list is Kelly Donovan. And just a reminder to speak slowly for both our ASL interpreter and Spanish language interpreter.
Hello, my name is Kelly Donovan, and I live in an unincorporated Gun Barrel at 4935 Durham Street in the Heatherwood neighborhood. Before I start, I want to say this is my first county commissioners meeting that I've attended, as this issue is so important to me. Some of my earliest memories of going to my local library and picking out books in the children's section. Since then, I've always had a love of books. I immediately got a library card when I moved to Boulder 17 years ago. Once I had children, I was excited to introduce them to the children's room at the main branch, knowing it would create fond memories for them as it did for me. Sure enough, my kids, who are now 10, 7, and 7, have such a love for books and read a ton. The library is a big part of their lives. My oldest son has his own library card, and during the pandemic would put books on hold for himself and his brother and sister when that was the only option available. They ask weekly if they could go to the library to pick out books. My daughter just consumes books so fast that there's just never enough books in the house, as she goes through them so fast. The issue for me, though, as a working mom, is finding time to go all the way across town to pick up and drop off books. Without having after-school care support this year, I have found it nearly impossible to make the drive to the library to pick up books for my kids that my kids have put on hold, and then bring them back on time with my current work schedule. In fact, I've had to stop using the library until my work schedule eases up, as it's just too far for me to go routinely there. I would love to see a gun barrel branch available, as it's much needed addition to this area with so many families living here. I'd love to be able to drop off books on my way to King Soopers, or drive over or bike over in the summer with my kids. As a long-term library user and supporter, I am asking the county commissioners to work with the city council to move the library district forward for a vote. I would love to see my dream of a gun barrel library branch become a reality. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak about this.
Thank you. We'll move next to number 4, Nicole Pearlman. And just a friendly reminder to watch your speed of speaking for our interpreters.
Great. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. I'll try to speak slowly because I'm a fast talker and this is important. Really, really appreciate it. So glad to hear so many people coming out in support. My name is Nicole Pearlman, and I live at 5785 Old Stage Road in Boulder, which is unincorporated up towards the foothills. And I'm in that neck of the woods, kind of closest to Gun Barrel. I have a young child, and we spend, or at least pre-pandemic times, we used to spend a lot of time going down to Pearl Street. It would be amazing to have something closer to home with incredible programming. I basically credit the library for my child's social and emotional learning, all the story times we've gone to, all the times we've spent there playing with other children. The librarians know him on a first name basis because he always goes and asks to play with the trains before he picks out his books. And it's just such a fantastic and wonderful community resource. But it's more than just about me. It's a community resource for everyone. And I think what's so amazing about the library and our potential to have more services and more locations is it's really a great equalizer in our community. The library is something you can use, whether you're rich or poor. If we had more locations, you could use it whether you had a car or a bus or a bicycle. And that's really a wonderful public good in an era when we have very few public goods, I think, that are really left, that are equalizers in our community. I was on a Facebook conversation with somebody about this earlier today, and someone commented, and I won't mention the name for her privacy, something to the extent of, I'm a renter in Boulder County and I make less than $30,000 a year. And to me, to see people that live in $1 million homes pause at the thought of paying $1.50 more in property taxes, for a well-funded library system is just heartbreaking. And I would give anything to be in that situation. And I thought that was just so eloquently put. I've seen a little bit of pushback already from people complaining about property taxes when what we're talking about is really pennies compared to these really expensive houses a lot of people live in, for something that's truly a public good for all of us. And when you think about the impact on kids in the next generation, not only a public good now, but something that'll be good for a long, long time, influencing our children as they get older and their children. I really appreciate you taking the time to discuss the issue. I'm glad to hear so many people in support, and really, really just appreciative, and would love to see a library district, not just for my children, but for everyone in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to number 5 on the list, Doug Hamilton.
Hello, my name's Doug Hamilton. Yeah, I'm nervous. I've never spoken in front of one of these things before. I will tell you I'm a Boulder Library champion.
Doug, thanks. Excuse me, thanks for being here. Just a reminder to state your address for the record as well.
I was getting to that. Okay. Yeah, I'm a Gun Barrel resident. Let's see. Okay, so I'm a Boulder Library champion as well. I used to be an opponent actually of the district. And I think after a lot of research, you might know I write for the Daily Camera in the editorial section. I've done that for like 3 years now. And I wrote an op-ed against it. And after talking with the library champions after, several meetings, really looking into the budget, there's really no other way to fund a library than a library district. It's the most common form of districts. 56 other cities in Colorado have debated it and have come out that a library district is the best thing. And recently there was a newsletter published by Bob Yates that contained a lot of false information. And I wanted to go ahead and just kind of share with you some of the false information that Bob put out there. The first claim was that the library district would result in nothing you will probably notice. And like we said at the beginning, it's going to have expanded hours of the main branch and libraries, the reopening of the Canyon Theater and the Carnegie Library. For me, very important as a Gun Barrel resident, new branches in Gun Barrel and Liwat, repairs and renovations. I mean, the list goes on and on. It is going to be a drastic improvement to our current library. The second false thing that he said was that there was no way to elect the board, the trustees. Colorado law does not allow trustees to be elected. So, and without a change in Colorado law, no library district in the entire state has elected trustees. So that's just a false thing. It's impossible without a change at the Colorado state level. Let's see, what else? There's over a dozen. The city would give the library buildings to the district for free. I mean, obviously the champions haven't really taken a strong position on this, but Boulder County staff and the city staff have recommended that as part of the LDAC. And we, the taxpayers, have already paid for those buildings. Why would we pay for them again? So that doesn't make a lot of sense. That they would have veto power over any changes that the city makes to the surrounding area. That's a false statement. No one has recommended giving the library district veto power over the city district. Let's see.
Time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to number 6 on our list, Tom Meyer.
Chair Loachman, this is Natalie Springett for the record. I apologize. I've been attempting to promote Tom to panelist. And I think we're just having a little bit of a technical issue. So if we just have 1 minute here.
Absolutely, thank you. Tom, I can see you on our screen now.
Don't we just love Zoom? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Just a reminder to speak slowly for the interpreters that are joining us this evening, and your name and address for the record to start.
My name is Tom Meyer. I live at 4971 Cornwall Drive in Gun Barrel.
Thank you.
This is my first call to county commissioners meetings. I'm a little bit nervous and I'll try to talk slowly. I support the creation of this library district. I want to talk a little bit about how I grew up. My parents were in the military and government service, and I grew up overseas. And everywhere we went during that service, there was always a small town or a little base, and there was always a library. And being part of that community, there wasn't a lot of money. There was nobody that we knew that was super wealthy, obviously. And having access to a library with the books and the computers and all the other resources, even in the smallest of libraries, was a great equalizer in terms of access to education, ideas, all kinds of things. This was, for the record, this was in the early 80s, where if you went into a if you went into a media center, the computer there was an Apple IIe. To say that libraries have shaped who I am now at the tail end of a 25-year career in high tech, and I've authored 11 books in high tech, is a complete and understatement. It's just a very powerful tool for a community to help folks who are in need. So I support a library district because the new branches in Gun Barrel and Niwot would directly benefit both communities. And I'd love to see the library hours fully restored, and the expansion of such programs as the Makerspace, the Boulder Reads program, the Carnegie Center, and much more. I urge the county commissioners to work to create a library district so we can vote on sustainable funding this fall. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move next to number 8 on the list, Donna George.
And
This is Eric Noodleman. Did you purposely skip over me?
I apologize, Eric. I'm trying to manipulate several pages at the same time. Thank you. Donna will be right with you. Eric, you are next, number 7 on the list. Thanks for stepping in.
Okay, my name is Eric Noodleman, 2200 Iris Avenue in Boulder. If you can dream it, if you can describe it, Building 61 Makerspace will help you build it and make it. I've been actively working at Building 61 for 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days now. I go there pretty much twice a week because they're only open 2.5 days a week. I'd love to see more funding for them because this is our future, and this is really a cutting edge, one of the best in the country makerspaces. Let me tell you about some of the projects that I've completed there. I've done 61 laser projects using their laser cutter, laser printer. I do a ton of recycling, reusing, and making. Little show and tell here. I did some French cleat boxes for some cute projects to hold a Tide stick for our laundry room. Our dog bowl got personalized. But mostly I'm proud of my beekeeping equipment making. Beekeeping is a tricky hobby nowadays, but if you can build your own equipment, it makes all the difference. So how much more political is this than to take and reuse political signs? And what I did with the laser printer was using 4 political signs. I built this bee box where bees can live year round in what's called a nucleus box. So I spent a lot of my time working with the laser printer, the wood shop, 3D printing, welding, an awesome machine called the CNC. And I just want to let everybody know that this is invaluable to me, to our community. It brings people together. It allows for a lot of reuse and recycling and tons of creativity, and only good things can come of it. Obviously, they need more funding. Obviously, all the libraries need more funding, but I wanted to put a plug in specifically for the Makerspace Building 61.
Thank you, Eric. We'll move next now to number 8, Donna George.
Hello, my name is Donna George. I live at 4661 Tally Ho Court. We are all here tonight at this town hall meeting because the city of Boulder has not adequately funded the Boulder library system for decades. Funding for the library has been used almost as a slush fund to take away funding from during shortfalls in the city budget, and also as a carrot to include in funding proposals for pet projects. This is simply not right for such a vital service provided to the community and its citizens. The city of Boulder has failed the library for many years, and the backlog of maintenance and the loss of staff are just a couple of the major consequences of this failure in providing adequate funding. The hardworking and dedicated library staff have been true heroes in providing the service they do under such inadequate funding. One of the primary goals of the 2018 Boulder Public Library Master Plan is to obtain secure, stable, and adequate funding for the library. When government fails in its duties, engaged and dedicated citizens get involved and activated in correcting the problem. This is just what the Boulder Library Champions did, and for many years, these citizens have researched and worked extremely hard to come up with a solution. The library district was not the idea of the city of Boulder, but rather the citizen group had to convince them that this was the best way to secure, stable, and adequate funding for the library. Library districts have been very successful in the state of Colorado, with 56 districts across the state, including areas in Fort Collins, Greeley, and Colorado Springs. Because their funding is stable under the library district and not subject to fluctuations in sales tax, the full city budget like the Boulder library system currently has. So they're stable because they are property taxes. I am in favor of a library district. This could be done as one district or two districts, one for the properties within the city of Boulder boundaries and the other in the unincorporated areas. I was unaware that we could do this as two districts, but that is now my strong preference. This way, the Boulder City Council will appoint the trustees for one district, and the county commissioners will do so for the other district that includes the unincorporated properties, just as it does so for the Netherland and Lyon library districts. By forming two library districts, the unincorporated areas such as Gunbarrel and Iwat will have much greater control over their library, as all the trustees on the board will be from the unincorporated library district boundaries and none from the city of Boulder. Having another library district encompassing the city of Boulder limits will ensure adequate funding for the Boulder Library and may make the transfer of property much easier in this process. The city of Boulder should reduce the general tax base by what has been earmarked for the library so that the citizens within the city of Boulder will have that tax amount transferred to a property tax and not be double taxed. Since at least $10 million will be freed up from the city of Boulder's general fund budget by designated library property tax, I suggest they reduce the tax by that amount and not just use this extra tax for other purposes. All the library districts within the area can form, I have one more sentence, can form a consortium if they have not already done so to provide efficient and great library service to the communities. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move next to number 9 on the list, Henry Corin. And just a reminder for all speakers to state your name and your address for the record and try and speak slowly so that our interpreters can translate the information for you and interpret live for you.
Hello, my name is Henry Corin. I live at 2530 Yarrow Court in Table Mesa. Our libraries are the milk and honey of Boulder. My family visits the main library or the George Reynolds branch every week. We check out around 700 books a year to read to our kids. My 2 young girls have learned to read with the help of our library. For them, it was a preschool with their go-to for education and play long before they were eligible to become students at our school district. When my kids were just 1 year old, they met other children who will grow to become their lifelong friends at a library story time. Now my girls are thriving. They have become incredible readers because of the resources the library offers. My eldest, Maya, has figured out what she wants to do when she grows up. She wants to become an author and an illustrator. The library was a huge source of inspiration for my girls. It has made a tremendous difference in so many children's lives. As a resident of South Boulder, we have enjoyed the reopening of the renovated George Reynolds branch. Now we can reach a library on foot instead of a 10-minute drive. Residents in Niwot and Gun Barrel deserve their own library branches so that books can be made accessible to those communities. And there's economies of scale that make sense to have multiple libraries bound together so that they can work together. A small increase in property tax dedicated to funding our libraries will be worth every penny. I encourage those who are concerned about tax to consider the indirect long-term benefits that a fully funded library system will have on our community. Building a strong library district for the county will make a difference in the lives of people. As a resident of the city of Boulder, the benefit of the library extends beyond the city limits. I'd like to say I'm extremely disappointed by the misinformation and anti-library district fear-mongering that our former mayor distributed in his newsletter. The cost of the library is about as much as a Netflix subscription for me, or a load of groceries. And for that cost, I get a year of stimulation and education and all kinds of benefits that I can't even explain how wonderful it's been. So the citizens of Boulder pay for what the unincorporated areas benefit from. In that sense, the citizens of these unincorporated areas are free riders, but I know many of these people, and I know that none of them want to be. In 2021, the city of Boulder elections put a progressive majority onto the council, moving past 40 years of planned Boulder County conservatism. Our new representatives have a set of ambitious policies for transportation and housing. We made good intentions. We have more good intentions than we have staffing or funding to accomplish our goals. Very few of our initiatives will succeed without funding. Creating a library district will free up city budget to use on other projects that will benefit the city of Boulder. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. We'll move next to Claire Kelly, number 10 on the list.
Hello, my name is Claire Kelly. I live in Boulder on the corner of Mapleton and Folsom. I am a library patron, a homebound patron, delivery volunteer at the Boulder Public Library. I work in book publishing, and I'm also a library student getting my master's degree in information and library science at San Jose State University online. So this semester I'm working with the director of the iSchool, Anthony Chow, who's a national expert on library advocacy, to do research on how library districts benefit our communities, specific populations, including families, immigrant communities, small businesses, entrepreneurs, students, and seniors, to name a few. The bottom line is that sustainable funding for libraries through the creation of a library district will benefit everyone in our county. A library district will allow the Boulder Public Library to plan ahead and to be able to count on a budget that meets the needs of our community and our library card holders. Here's where I see the problem currently. At the start of the pandemic, even though the Boulder Public Library only accounts for 3% of the city's budget, it absorbs 16% of the permanent cuts due to the dramatic decline of sales tax revenue. I've noticed the reduced hours at branches, reduced programming, and I've seen how library staff are stretched thin because their coworkers have been laid off. I want to live in a county that supports its public library system. The library district will help us secure sustainable funding for the Boulder Public Libraries for good. Also, it's just so powerful to me that the library district model is most common in Colorado. There are a total of 56 library districts in Colorado. Those include Colorado Springs, Fort Collins, Lyons, Nederland, Estes Park, Greeley, Pueblo, and so many more. These other library districts in our state have formed for good reason. Like I said before, establishing a library district through property taxes is not only the most sustainable, but also the most equitable way to ensure that the library receives the funding it needs. For example, Fort Collins formed their library district in 2006. So as a result, in March 2020, the Poudre Valley Library District did not have to reduce hours or cut staff like Boulder Public Library did. And I heard you reference Councilman Yates on cost. Given there's a number of questions raised about the accuracy of his claims, I think it is important for voters to be informed with accurate details. So I thought perhaps it would be helpful to do the calculation for $650,000, the median house value in the county. So if the proposed property tax is $27 annually per $100,000 in assessed value, that would mean that a $650,000 home owner would pay $14.62 per month in taxes for a district. That tax cost is worth the investment. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move next to number 11 on the list, Anna Walker.
Commissioner Locheman, this is Natalie Springett for the record. We don't have a panelist on this evening with the name Anna Walker. So Anna, if you're on, if you could raise your hand and we'll skip for now and go to our next speaker on the list.
Thank you for that. So we'll move to number 12, Nathan Seidel, and I'll leave Anna on the list here and we'll go back before our 6:50 cutoff time and do another call. How's that?
Perfect, thank you. And we have Nathan switching over to panelist.
Hello, my name is Nathan Seidel, and I am the owner of Spark Fun Electronics, a business in Boulder County with 104 employees. We own and operate an 80,000 square foot manufacturing facility in Gun Barrel. In 2021, we paid $304,000 in property taxes to the county for 1 year, $304,000. While this amount has been increasing at a staggering rate, we would love to be taxed more for a library district. In addition, I don't know any business owners in my network who would be against increasing taxes for the library. Increasing funding to a library means a more educated workforce. As a business person, looking at the predicament both the library and the county are in financially, it just makes sense to me to form a library district. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to number 13 on the list, Rylan Bowers.
Hello, can you hear me all right? All right, great. I'm Rylan Bowers and I'm up in unincorporated Niwot. My partner Annie is also with me. And I'd just like to say that I believe in investing in my community no matter what. I give back as a community organizer for things in the tech community. And I find a lot of value in increasing and expanding access. And in my opinion, there's really no better way to do that for everybody than providing, improving, and expanding our public libraries. As an avid reader, my partner and I use the library regularly. I currently have 3 books checked out, and she has a couple as well. And we've also been checking out movies. And then I'm also always finding new services that the library provides to our community that kind of are delightful. It's just like they do this, like state parks passes and family packages that increase access to resources, even outside of just books and things. I love that it's available to all, no matter your economic and social status. This is a major leg up for many folks to help them achieve the American dream. The building 61, I believe, is another great example of this that I didn't know about until recently when this Boulder Library District came up onto my radar. The resources you can find without having to pay for them, I find remarkable, especially as a place for people to go that is safe without having to pay to spend time there. It feels like there are fewer and fewer places like that in our world, and I think that's very important to expand. Some things I've seen that make me, recently online, make me think that people think the library should exclude some folks, which seems selfish and irresponsible in respect to improving our community. We should be aware that some folks are down on their luck and the library can provide a leg up for them to improve their position. Now, I'm all for buying coffee and a snack to be inside at a cafe, but a library doesn't require that. And I think that's an extremely important service. And I find it's amazing no matter who you are or where you are from. I fully support the Boulder Library District and improving access and resources via this mechanism to increase funding for the library system. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move next to number 14, Pat Clare on the list. And just a reminder for our speakers to state your name and your address for the record, please. And that we do have ASL and Spanish language interpreters to help you share your comments with everybody. So you can watch your speed, please. Thank you.
Commissioner Locheman, just having a little trouble getting Pat Clark moved over. While we sort this out, perhaps we can move to the next speaker and try to return to Pat.
I'm going to give her, Pat, just an opportunity. On my screen, it looks like you're there and unmuted.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Pat Clare. I'm going to withhold my address. I'd prefer to be an anonymous address. I'm grateful that Boulder County and the City of Boulder and the Boulder Library are joining together and contemplating ideas to make Boulder Library a better organization. I think that Boulder County could help the City of Boulder a lot in understanding more about how to balance a budget and come up with ideas on investigating grant opportunities for the library system. I understand that in 2018, the document that was put together for the master plan, the master plan document that was put together included phrasing of to promote all forms of literacy. We create opportunities for the development of literacy skills needed to understand, interpret, create, communicate, and compute in our world. I agree with the concept wholeheartedly. I do think that that Boulder County could help the City of Boulder in its efforts to create a library district by helping the current stakeholders to understand that 1/4 of our population are people with disabilities, that learning and nurturing people to be able to become independent readers, to be able to come to the table and participate in public process it can be very, very difficult without nurturing people, helping people to get the skills that they need to be able to read and to be able to read. I am hearing stories about people with children who go to the libraries on a regular basis and check out many, many books, and it's a social gathering place. I am a person with a disability, and I would like to see the county help the city, help the library, the folks in Boulder Library to address this underserved community as much as they are trying to do outreach for the Latinx community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Pat. Move next to number 15 on the list, Rebecca Swank-Morse.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Rebecca Morse. I live at 6688 Drew Ranch Lane, Boulder in Gun Barrel. I support the library district because I want a Gun Barrel branch. My family will use the library services much more often if we could just pop over on our bikes to pick up holds or browse a selection. Pre-pandemic, we went regularly to the main branch in Boulder, but stopped taking the bus, and that also stopped our trips to the library. It's also more than a matter of convenience for us. It's a matter of equitable access for some of my friends and neighbors here in Gun Barrel who may not have access to a car. A properly and sustainably funded library system should be an asset to the whole community. I would like to see programs for children, youth, and vulnerable members of our community permanently and fully funded. This intentional investment in our own community will pay dividends in the unpredictable years to come. A mill levy is worth the investment to me and my family, and I also understand it could be a burden for some of my neighbors, and that we should consider creative solutions to ease that burden where applicable. I urge our county commissioners to work to create a library district so that we can vote on equitable and sustainable funding this fall. Thank you.
Thank you. Move to number 16 on the list, Gina McAfee.
Hold on, I forgot to do the unmute thing. Yeah, Jenna McAfee. I live on the south end of town, 4409 Prado Drive in unincorporated Boulder County. I am pleased to address you tonight to express my support for a library district. I am one of the, I think it's 30% of county residents who use the library. I started using it in 1987 when my daughter was 1 year old. I figure that this is kind of analogous to people who listen to public radio for free for years. After a while, it starts to wear on your conscience. So I am glad to have this opportunity to support stable, predictable funding for the library. I was frankly shocked 2 years ago when the Boulder Public Library took such a huge hit during the pandemic. I was shocked at the number of people who were laid off and the library facilities that had to close, including the George Reynolds branch, which is closest to my house. And that ended up being closed for a year and a half. It did get remodeled in the meantime. The Boulder Public Library is hugely important as a community resource for children's programs, for access to computers, for Latinx outreach, for meeting rooms. I've used it many times just for meeting space. I am fine paying extra in property taxes for this community resource. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move next to number 17, Edward Yagi.
Hello, are my audio and video all right?
Yes, thank you.
All right. My name is Edward Yagi, and I am co-owner of fifth generation family property on Big Owl Road in Allens Park. I will speak fast since you won't give us more time to speak slowly for the interpreters. Sorry, interpreters. I am totally opposed to any discussion or decision by the county regarding a proposed library district at this time. The reason is simple. Boulder County should do nothing new before it has come clean on its record of dishonesty and unethical behavior. Allow me to clarify. On March 3rd, in public comment on COVID restrictions, Matt Jones said, quote, "I fully support science-based and evidence-based decision-making," end quote. This is a flat out lie because he used the word fully. Boulder County is the world's poster child for not allowing evidence into decision-making. Boulder County does not merely reject evidence, you work very hard to suppress it as much as possible. On December 3rd, 2020, 16 members of the public spoke to the commissioners about short-term rental policy. The very few who spoke in favor of the county's proposal gave not one shred of evidence to support their arguments, not one. The majority who spoke in fierce opposition pleaded with you with hard facts and valid rational arguments to not act in haste and instead give evidence-based decision-making a chance. I was one of those speakers. We implored you to work with subject matter experts and the public, get relevant data, do objective analysis, and then make fair, reasonable, effective, and enforceable rules that would benefit everyone. I so remember the bored, sneering, contemptuous looks on the face of every county employee during that hearing. Watch it for yourself. It's on your website. Before the first public speaker had even finished, it was perfectly obvious that you had all decided to rubber stamp a decision made long before the public hearing even began. In literally a few minutes, you approved horribly written, major changes to the land use code and an unworkable new ordinance with bad intentions under false pretenses in the middle of a pandemic on nothing more than the vindictive whim of 2 or 3 people, including Jones. Laws, by the way, that you still can't or won't explain, interpret, or administer to this day. At this moment, you are deceptively interpreting terms like approved, signed, effective, implemented, and enforced with no authority or evidence, simply to push review of the STR rules into next year, presumably until after Matt Jones is gone, but possibly until the end of time. The 2 dates are starting to feel like the same thing. So no, thank you. Until you clean up your act, you have no business wasting anyone's time with creating a new library district or anything else. The way forward is simple and obvious. Repeal the 2020 STR ordinance and land use changes starting now, right now, today. I cannot guarantee that this will restore public trust in you. I can say that if you don't, no one should ever trust you about anything at all, ever, and with good reason. This concludes my remarks.
Thank you. We'll move to number 18 on the list, Rick Scheingold.
Thank you. I apologize for being late. We had a 911 call and I'm a first responder. And if I repeat anything that was already commented on, my deepest apologies. I'm also not a frequent public speaker. So if I sound a little distracted and disjointed in my comments, please forgive me in advance. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am not a public speaker and I apologize in advance for if my information is disjointed. My biggest issue, I have a number of issues, and my first one has to do with affordable living in Boulder. Boulder is becoming more and more impossible to live in, and adding more and more taxes doesn't make it any easier. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this. I hear inflation's going around, gas prices are going up, and someone's going to have to balance the Boulder County budget because of the 1,000 developed homes in the Marshall Fire that was destroyed. Who's making up that money? Us citizens are. Home insurance in the mountains, if you can even get it, has doubled or tripled in the last couple of years and is about to shoot through the roof once they pay off all the Marshall Fire claims. Boulder city homeowners that were homes average of 1.5 million and up may think nothing of $4, $5, $6 a gallon to fill their gas tanks. This is not the case for all Boulder County residents. Boulder City's inability to budget or properly fund their library should not be the county's problem. Other surrounding cities in Boulder County have figured out how to have a library, even with their limited tax base. I'm not going to go into that, but I'm not a professional in how you finance public services, but I don't see the fire department or this Boulder City Police doing pancake breakfasts and yard sales. There is a concern that if county residents are expected to cover the library shortfall or improper funding setup, will it then lead to a precedent for the slippery slope of calling on non-city residents to bail out the city on other services and further enable fiscal mismanagement? I'm not an expert in finance. The library is offering content widely available through other services. Not everyone has access to them. However, these services are pay to play. If members of Boulder County who don't live in the city want to use the library, perhaps a fee can be imposed. Maybe there's all kinds of clever structures that can be used to make sure the budget for the library is where it needs to be. Don't the commissioners have enough on their plates with how not to screw seniors who lose their tax exemption when they downsize from a family-sized home to a more modest-sized home? 10, 20, 30 years of paying Boulder taxes, you move across the street into a small, appropriate-sized apartment, and you have to start the clock again on 10 years before you could see that exemption again. Why would we want to hold on to that inventory? Well, because it's the only way you can afford to live here. Very disappointing. This proposal at first glance seems only to make Boulder County less affordable and support the premise that it is only for the rich and entitled. If the property owners in the city of Boulder want to have a library, they should figure out how to pay for it. When people move out of Boulder City into the mountains, they understand they are giving up certain niceties, and in exchange for that, there's certain things we don't pay for. No parking meters in Gold Hill. You know, when you call 911, I'm who shows up. You know, these are the things that we learn to live with in the mountains. And I don't expect to, Terry, if I want to live in the city and pay to live in the city, I would. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Let's go next to 19 on the list, Marty Retzel.
Good evening, commissioners. It's good to see you. My name is Marnie Ratzel, and I am an unincorporated Boulder County resident. I'm not usually on this side of the coin here, but I feel that this is important to speak about. My address is 8811 Comanche Road in Niwot, and I hope I have enough time to speak all this. I'm interested in learning more about how the proposal is equitable in relation to the greater Boulder County community. I reviewed the materials available on the district library district webpage, and while it includes the boundary and the proposed mill levy, what I did not find is information regarding how the boundaries were selected, how many unincorporated Boulder County property owners versus City of Boulder property owners are impacted, whether residents of Boulder County that do not reside within the district boundaries will be given equal access and privileges to the library district services, and why the district that included, why isn't a district that includes the entire of Boulder County? Why is that not under consideration? My quick review of census data identified 108,000 residents in the city of Boulder, which incidentally includes the CU population, which is about 30,000 or so. And these residents, 108, represent about a third of the population in Boulder County. Almost another third, just under 100,000 people, live in the city of Longmont. While there are 4 public libraries and Norland Library serving CU in the city of Boulder, there's only 1 central library serving the residents of Longmont. Demographics are another topic. There are more people over the age of 65, under the age of 18 in the city of Longmont, as well as people of color. I think there's about 30% more people of Latinx in the city of Longmont. Yet the city of Longmont is not included in the district. As detailed in the February 8th study session memo from staff to council, the formation of the district will free up approximately $9.5 to $10.25 million in city funding that will be reallocated. And I think that's that this may be in addition to the current 0.333 mill property tax dedicated to library services today. These reallocated funds will be utilized to benefit the residents of the city of Boulder, not the greater Boulder County community. Commissioners, I also have to take a moment to acknowledge that the community members who have spoken this evening are those who will benefit from the proposed district, those who live within the city of Boulder, and those within close proximity of the city. Who you're not hearing from tonight is the greater Boulder County population who will not benefit from this district. Some of the most underrepresented populations who would most need increased access to library services. In closing, I don't oppose the concept of a library district, just the one that has been proposed, as it does not utilize my unincorporated Boulder County tax dollars equitably or to the benefit of about 2/3 of our Boulder County population. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to number 20 on the list, Kirsten Roche.
Commissioner Loscheman, I was just informed that we're unable to locate Kirsten on our attendee list. So Kirsten, if you're present, if you could please raise your hand on Zoom, or also Anna Walker, if you could raise your hand as well. That way we'll know how to promote you to panelist.
Thank you for that. We'll give both of them just a moment. I'm not looking at the chat staff, just wondering if there might be a phone number to share in case somebody's having technical issues and would prefer to phone in, if that's an option for this town hall tonight.
Hi, commissioners. We don't have anyone raising their hand at this moment, and it doesn't appear we have anyone who's called in, but we we could wait just another moment. We don't have anyone on the phone, so we don't need to give the *9, *6 instructions.
Okay, thank you. And I know we have number 11, Anna Walker, that we're trying to keep that opportunity open, as well as number 20 on the list, Kirsten Roche. We have about 7 minutes left in our allocated time tonight, so we can honor everyone's schedule. There's and I don't know if there's someone else being added to the list. I'm looking at the run of show document staff versus if there's another document being utilized.
And Commissioner Loach, I mean, there are some people who weren't able to sign up who have asked whether they can speak tonight since we have additional time. I don't know if we have the ability to do that, but there is a David Limbach in the chat who has asked for time to speak.
Thank you for that. So number 11, Anna Walker, number 20, Kirsten Roche, we will move forward unless I hear something here in the next 5 seconds or so that they've been connected and they're trying to be moved to speakers, and otherwise happy to let David Limbach speak if he needs to be moved to a panelist. And staff, I'll just need your help if there's anybody else that is asking to speak still this evening. We have about 6 minutes left.
Thank you, commissioners. We have promoted David. So David, if you did want to speak, and this is Natalie Springett for the record, David, if you wanted to speak, you could go ahead and unmute. And if we do have another participant who would like to make public comment, if you could please raise your hand on your Zoom application for staff.
Thank you, Natalie. Just a reminder, David, excuse me, for
Yes.
anybody else who will speak, just to include your name and your address for the record. And we do have interpretation going on. So if you can speak slowly, we appreciate it. And you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I was not planning on speaking tonight. My name is David Limbach. I live at 7132 Gold Nugget Drive in Niwot. I am not advocating for or against the public library district proposal. I'm going to be speaking on behalf of the Niwot Community Association, of which I'm the president of. And I would just like to share with you that a lot of people in our community seem to be unaware of this going on. Our first real informational meeting happened 2 nights ago in the Left-Hand Grange, and it was very beneficial to everybody that attended. A lot of questions were answered and a lot more questions were raised. So given that there seems to be some underrepresentation or underinformed people in our community, I just want to let you know that the Niwot Community Association will be conducting a survey of the public and our specific members, and we will have results ready in time for your April 5th meeting. That's all I have to say for this evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, David. And I just want to check in with staff one last time. We would have time for one more public comment with a 3-minute speaking opportunity in regards to the Boulder Library District.
Yes, commissioners, it does look like we have one individual who has raised their hand. So Leonard, I am promoting you to panelist to allow you to speak.
Thank you. Leonard, it looks like you're on the computer now as a panelist.
I'm sorry, it looked like Zoom crashed for me, but I see that I'm still on. My name is Leonard Satongia. I live at 7309 Pebble Court in Niwot. I love books and libraries. They are fundamental to the public fabric of a community. Everyone should have one. I would like to have one in Niwot. I've never understood why libraries are associated with city governments. They should be a county entity because counties are contiguous. The library district plan being considered was launched from Boulder, the city, and includes parts of unincorporated Boulder County. I'm not in favor of this approach. I heard that if the ballot initiative fails, then the city library in Longmont will include Niwot as part of its district library district plans. This doesn't make sense to me. The Boulder County government should be the champion of a plan that includes all of Boulder County in a library district, including all cities, libraries of Boulder, Longmont, Nederland, Lyons, and other communities. Finally, I do not support any additional property taxes to support any district. Boulder County already has plenty of money from my point of view. I say this because my property taxes have gone up 47% in the 8 years that I've lived in Niwot, or $1,534. I already feel that I'm paying for a library, road paving, and much more in services that I don't actually receive. I don't see a justification for an increase in my property taxes of about $200 a year for a library district and vague promise of a library in Niwot. I say a vague promise because I have heard from people in Gun Barrel who were promised a library decades ago, and that hasn't been fulfilled. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go ahead and close out the public comment section of this town hall on the Boulder Library District. I do want to give commissioners an opportunity to respond to any of the, oh, excuse me. I'm turning this over to our Commissioner Matt Jones first.
Oh, no, I was just going to respond. I think this is the time to do it. Thank you, Marta. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for speaking. You did a great job, and thank you for stating your name and slowing down and doing the 3 minutes. So I know it's a lot. And for first timers, you did a great job. We're happy to hear you. This is an interesting proposition because the library system, this library district system was set up, I don't know when, a long time ago. And it's set up so that people can come together and form a library district. And because part of it's in the county, we're brought into it. This isn't our proposal. We're supposed to vote on it. And I was learning about it myself. So just know that that's how it works. And then we'll have this, and I'll go through the next opportunities for input here in a minute. You'll see a slide with it, but there'll be other opportunities to speak and talk about this and learn more. And so please do that. I'm learning more about library districts. I knew they existed. I didn't know quite how it worked or how they came into being. But this isn't a Boulder County proposal, but we have statutory state law responsibilities to be part of it and to vote on the issue. So that's all I'll say.
Great, thank you. Claire, do you have any additional comments?
Oh, yeah, sure. Just a few. Thanks. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for showing up. And we wanted to dedicate time at this town hall meeting for the library district because until very recently, there really was not much information out about it. Now that the city council meeting on April 5th, April 5th is coming up. There have been some letters to the editor and some columns written about it, but we did want to make sure that residents of unincorporated Boulder County really knew what was happening and had a chance to express yourselves. This obviously isn't an official public meeting, a public business meeting of Boulder County commissioners, but we heard you, we heard everything you said, and we'll be listening to more people when we do have this joint meeting with the City of Boulder City Council, just to get everybody's needs and concerns on the record, and so we can take those into account. And as Matt said, and as Kate Burt said at the beginning of this meeting, it's sort of a weird beast. It's very unique in law in that we have a role in deciding whether to put it on the ballot, but we really have not had any role in the boundaries of it, in the services that are proposed, in the mill levy that's being proposed. So we're sort of passive creatures here, but we'll be listening to everybody and making a decision whether to go along with the City of Boulder and put it on the ballot, Everybody that's within the boundaries of the district will have a chance to vote on that. And then if we do decide to put it on the ballot, and then we'll see where we go. I just to a couple of the comments, the most recent comments about Longmont. Longmont has its own library district. And as you may have heard Kate Burke say at the beginning, we can't, once the library district boundaries are set, those boundaries can't be changed. And so while Longmont can elect to provide services to people outside the district for free, it can't actually expand and absorb Niwot and take advantage of that property tax base. So it is just sort of a peculiar creature, these library districts. But thank you. Oh, Johnny Tudor has indicated they don't have a library district. They're exploring one. Thank you for correcting me. I thought they already had a district. So anyway, no, thanks for everybody for showing up and commenting. We'll be hearing more comments jointly with the City of Boulder. And then you'll have an opportunity to tune in as we deliberate on this proposal on April 7th. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you for that. Just want to respond to a few of the comments before we close out, that this has been really helpful, and want to respond to the question around just outreach and let folks know that we did send out almost 12,000 postcards with the invitation to participate in this event this evening, with the hopes of opening up another opportunity and notification and just information about this proposal that's being brought to the county commissioners from the City of Boulder and around the Boulder Library District. So, and just in response to one of the speakers about other ways to get the information out and share with other residents, we appreciate that. A few of the questions that were brought up just in calculations to is helpful for folks to kind of put themselves on the map around what that cost really would be. Certainly hearing, and gave me some questions to be asking around about how the funding has happened, how it's been working for residents in regards to library services, what happened during COVID specific. Just gave me some other questions to be asking. The question around who appoints library trustees and how that would work. Certainly appreciate the comments about the anticipated equalizing of services and opportunities for all community members throughout Boulder County with the service, and knowing that it really, libraries in general have provided inspiration for youth and the different services, and hearing about different ways that folks have been using our library facilities. A couple of the other questions, similarly, I had questions, one of the speakers brought up just about understanding a little bit more about how the boundaries were drawn. And Kate did mention, just for folks who maybe didn't tune in at the very beginning, that once pending approval, once that was to happen, then the boundaries can't be changed. And so those are really important questions at the beginning of this process. And certainly it's important for us to hear the concerns from residents throughout Boulder County in regards to property taxes and what's happening just in a day-to-day exhaustion, and also increase in prices around Boulder County and being residents specific to property taxes. So those are just some comments and reflections, and just want to appreciate folks for being here. So we appreciate you being here, and we continue to add public opportunities for folks to communicate with us as commissioners. A reminder that you jumped in at the end, please do know that you can submit your written comment to commissioners@bouldercounty.org. And there is that opportunity on April 5th that we've been invited to participate in, and agreed that it may give us an opportunity to hear from more residents in a hybrid public hearing that will be hosted by City of Boulder. And just a reminder, there's some other information there in regards to different ways to get information, different websites. And again, the City of Boulder has this information housed on their website. And so just a last reminder that our next meetings are April 14th and May 12th as town halls, where we've opened up some other opportunities for public
information and your public comment. So with that, we'll close and thank you.
Hey, Marta. Hey, Marta, can I go back to that previous slide so I can go through those opportunities to be involved?
Oh, absolutely. Commissioner Jones, go ahead.
Thank you. So this is in English and Spanish, but it's pretty simple, really. You can see that first website address there if you want more information on the library district. Then you drop down there, and if you want to have public comments to the county commissioners prior to the joint meeting with the Boulder City Council, there's the place to do that. And then you jump down a little bit more, and you can to participate in the joint City Council and Boulder County Commissioners meeting on Tuesday, April 5th at 6 p.m. You can visit that website there. So there's lots of opportunities to be engaged in this, and please do. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. With that, we'll close this town hall. Thank you, Boulder County staff. Thank you to the interpreters for opening access.
Thank you, everybody.